Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another UFC breakdown and predictions video, and this week we got UFC 322, which I would say is definitely the best card of this year, and it might be the best card that we've had since UFC 300, man. I mean, incredible card, just amazing main event, and we're going to break down every single fight, starting from the first fight of the night, so let's get into it. And starting the card off, we got Mateus Camilo and Slava Borshev, and Mateus, he's getting a fight here after a really bad fight week over in Abu Dhabi where he was going to fight Abdul Karim Al-Sawadi, but Al-Sawadi pulled out on weigh-in day. I believe Mateus Camilo had to make weight, or at least almost made weight, and flew across the world for that fight at a full fight camp. Likely, he spent a decent amount of money on that, and he didn't get to recoup, so put him in a position where he needed a fight. So 3 weeks later, he's getting this new matchup versus Slava Borshev, and 24 years old, so hopefully he can bounce back and be fine, but it really isn't the best circumstances for him here. He's cutting weight twice in 3 weeks, had that travel, which had to have been pretty brutal, and traveling all the way across the world and then not getting to fight. How much has he been training after that? I mean, you know that's got to be mentally draining. But the UFC is doing him a favor with the opponent, though, because they're giving him a fighter who's well-known, but 33 now with a lot of tread on the tires. He's taken this fight on short notice, but it's a very much must-win for Borshev. So he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he's lost 3 of 4 fights. He's 0-2 so far in 2025, so he needs a win, and he still has technical stand-up, a lot of experience, so he's a test, and an elite striker. He has really good boxing. He'll pressure well, footwork. He cuts the cage off. He stance switches. Borshev has a nice jab. You know, he'll throw 2, 3, 4 jabs in a row, and defensively, he covers well. He moves in and out well. He'll roll with shots pretty good. Good upper body movement. You can land on the legs and the body. He'll do a good job slipping shots, then ripping the body himself, but going to the legs, going to the body, and then eventually backing him to the fence and hitting him in the head where his punch resistance is a little bit less than it used to be is how you can get to him. Feigning the level change, come over to the top like a Chase Hooper as well is another way, but Slava has pretty good kicks as well. Nice teeps. One of the issues with Borshev is he doesn't have a ton of power, so he has to rely more on volume or hurting into the body or something like that. But when he could skirt around the cage, use his footwork, hit, not get hit, that's when he's at his best. And his conditioning is on point. He's pretty difficult to beat clearly in a stand-up fight, even against really good strikers like Nazim Sadykhov and stuff like that, Tom Nolan. He's given them a lot of trouble on the feet, made them wrestle him to beat him or get that draw. But Slava, he can't be taken down, and he won't quit. He is hard to submit. His last fight excluded, he's always shown an ability to kind of survive deep chokes. Even when Chase Hooper submitted him, the ref messed up, and Slava was really pissed off because he didn't tap out and he wasn't unconscious, even though he was caught. But he has to keep this fight standing to win the fight or get right back up if he's taken down, and pressure, pull out Camilo's looping shots, counter him, show that veteran savvy, and if he can do that, he has the ability to get the job done here. But Mateus Camilo, he has to fight a little different tactically. In a lot of his fights, he likes to brawl with the hands primarily. He'll use a long stance. He's very lead foot heavy. Tries to use his body jab, calf kicks to set up that big lead hook or a right hand. And he has power, but for this fight, he has to close the distance. I think use more kicks and takedowns. And if he could put Borshev on the cage, I think he should be able to put him on his back and have a pretty decent advantage. But overall, I'm not super impressed with Camilo's entries when he has to close the distance himself for the takedown. Usually, he has to rely on his opponents getting overzealous. But on top, he has a nice triangle armbar, and he's aggressive, but he did quit after he couldn't get the submission versus Gabe Green. And if Canelo fights hard on the mat and he can't find that submission, he can break. He's been submitted 3 times, and he only has 2 submission wins himself. So historically, it's not like he's going out there and just getting a ton of submissions. Athletically, Canelo is a beast. He has a good head on his shoulders, so I do think that he could get better. But this is a hard matchup, and I think tough circumstances. So ultimately, I think this is a fight that Borshchev gets the upset. It's 2 weight cuts, heavy travel for Canelo recently. On top of that, it's a totally different style of opponent than he was getting ready for in his original camp. And Slava has much better striking to me technically. And Canelo, if he just sits back and tries to throw body shots and counter, it's going to be hard for him to land. I think Slava's going to show levels if he can keep it standing and not get hit flush. Canelo isn't a great wrestler either, and I think Slava's ability to scramble and potentially survive a deep submission could get Canelo tired and, get Borshchev the victory down the stretch. So I feel this should be closer to a pick'em. So Borshchev at those odds, at plus 145, I think would be the side there in this matchup. So personally, I'm going to predict that Slava Borshchev gets the victory. And in this next fight, we got 2 relative newcomers to the UFC where they both got into the company this year. But Baisangur Susurkaev, I mean, this guy might be the rookie of the year for the UFC. I mean, he got signed, fought 4 days later, fought on Tuesday Night Contender Series, then fought Saturday night, got the win in both fights, and he had a ton of hype going into his last one. They let him be in the press conference and a lot of pressure on him in that fight. I think he was the biggest favorite in the history of the UFC, and he delivered, man. He had a tough first round, you could argue. It wasn't like he got beat up, but he got rocked at one point in the round, but he was able to come back at the win in the second via finish, and now he's got a lot better circumstances here. He's not having the back-to-back weight cuts, fighting twice in that short amount of time, and he's taken on a bigger opponent that maybe is a little bit better, but he's not necessarily like that dangerous. I don't think he's super threatening. He has a nice left kick, Makhachev, and he's a veteran. He's 1-1 so far. He got that win in his last fight via decision over Cody Brundage, but his UFC debut, he kind of got dominated a little bit by Nursultan Ruzaboev. He got knocked out in the second round in that one. But you look at how these guys match up. Susurkaev is the way more dynamic and fluid striker. He could switch stances seamlessly, super confident guy. He's really good with his front kicks to the body. He throws great kicks to, everywhere, honestly. Really fast punches. Just super dynamic, slick striker. And Eric Makhachev tries to cover well with the high guard. He has long arms. He is southpaw. He throws a lot of left hooks. His left high kick is probably the best weapon that he does have. And he'll throw some okay left hands. He has some power. He'll try to punch you back to the fence and hoard you against the cage. But I feel like Makhachev's kind of nothing special. He's someone that doesn't really open up too much on the feet. He tries to be economical with the striking, land big power shots, and then push you against the cage, control you there. And if he can get on top, he's decent, but I feel like he's not really that dangerous. And I feel like Susurkaev with the strikes up the middle could potentially land. Like, start going to the body first with the front kicks, bring him up to the head, use knees. And I just think Susurkaev can get the reads, be the slicker striker, and probably find that finish. So, I mean, at the odds where you got Susurkaev at minus 1,000 or whatever he is currently, there's not really much value there, you could say. But I do believe that he's probably going to get the finish. So, maybe round 2, round 3, because I think Makhachev, he has experience. He's kind of long, rangy, tall guy. So potentially he could make this fight go a little longer if he's defensively oriented early. But I don't think has a lot of ways to win ultimately. And I think that Susurkaev is likely going to find that shot to get him out of there like Ruzabov did eventually. So my prediction will be Susurkaev. I'll say second round KO TKO. And in this next one, we got Angela Hill and Fatima Klein. So Fatima Klein's looking to break in the big time, beating Angela Hill, and 25 years old. Perfect scenario here for her, really. She's fighting in the biggest fight of her life, Madison Square Garden. She's from and still trains in New York. And on top of that, she's sharing the card with her longtime training partner and friend, Aaron Blanchfield. So I'm sure that they got good training in together, and she's going to be prepped, ready to go. Even though Blanchfield isn't really a great look for Angela Hill, conditioning-wise, getting your grappling on point, that's a great person to have. And I'm sure that Fatima's been watching Angela Hill fight for years, so we'll see if she has some tricks up her sleeve. She's ready to step up to this moment. But Angela Hill, she's lost her last fight, but I felt like she kind of looked on her way out in the fight with Tabitha Ricci last year, but she looked good in both her fights this year. She had faster starts. I think she looked a little faster, physically stronger, and I see people saying that they thought she looked worse, but I disagree with that. I think she's looked a little bit better even in losing efforts in her last couple performances than her fight last year. But you look at both these girls, stylistically, Fatima Klein, jiu-jitsu base. She has a good background in sport jiu-jitsu. She won some tournaments, and her striking is really what she's shown off more recently, though. She's fast. She can bounce in and out of range. She's a stance switcher. She's better when she can be the fighter controlling the center and going forward, getting in, getting out with her 3-2s or 2-3s. And she mainly just throws that combination the entire fight. And her height makes her stand-up effective because she's 5'6", one of the tallest fighters in the division, and decent kicks. Prior to the last fight, we hadn't really seen her ever hurt anyone with her kicks, but she did get that head kick knockout, so she showed that ability. If you pressure her, she has decent counters, but she's not very powerful, and she is going to try to take you down at that point. Good timing on the doubles, decent takedowns. She'll cage push. I would say her wrestling is kind of average, but when she gets on top, she's aggressive, good ground and pound. She'll work her way into dominant positions, but I have seen her get swept. I have seen her lose position, and she only has one submission win in MMA, so I think her grappling is opportunistic, and she can be explosive, but it's a little overrated. She still needs to figure out her ground game for MMA a little better, but her aggression has gotten her 5 finishes, and her one loss was out of this weight class. It was at 125 versus Jasmine Zudavicius. And in that fight, she did get out-grappled. And I do think size played a factor, but she also had a few bad moments on the mat versus Victoria Dudakova. So I could see her maybe trying to keep this fight standing and using her speed. But conditioning for Klein is good. Probably you can expect her to have a slight edge in the conditioning over Angela Hill, even though Hill usually doesn't get tired in her fights. But you look at Angela Hill, she's high volume, decent hand combinations, leg kicks, front kicks, spins, mixes and elbows. Her clinch game, her grappling is definitely improved significantly over the years, and I feel as if she might be the better wrestler and clincher in this matchup here. So on the feet, I mean, the thing with Angela, she doesn't have the power to get those eye-popping shots for the judges or get respect at times, and she gets backed up constantly, and even if she's landing the cleaner shots, she could be losing optically. So I think that this fight's a lot closer than the odds, though. That's the one thing that's kind of throwing me off in terms of my prediction here, because if you're looking at it, look at the opponents that Klein has fought. I mean, really low-level victories, and I feel like Yeah, Angela's taken some losses, but the girls that she's losing to have already had a ton of experience before getting to Angela Hill. And when she's fought opponents that didn't have that experience, like a Fatima Klein, she's been able to get the jump on them more than often than not. And on the feet, I do think it's going to be very competitive. I don't think like Klein's going to run away with the stand up. I think Hill is going to be able to put numbers together a little better, be a little more fluid, but Klein might be able to just be on the pressure, use her height, and be able to land maybe a little bit harder. But I don't know if Fatima's going to be able to really get takedowns, and I think Angela should try to mix in the clinch, maybe even put Klein on her back and control her there. The submission threats, obviously a lot more on the Klein side, but like I said, she only has one submission victory in her career in MMA, so I think that really this fight could go either way. So at the odds, I'm going to say Angela Hill via split decision in this one, another one of these super close fights that she gets into, and she'll get the nod this time. So I don't have a super, strong opinion on who wins this fight. I think it's going to be really competitive, really close, so I just feel like Angel Hill is being disrespected on the line. I do think Klein is a really good prospect, but I think her grappling is a little overrated, and then to expect her to be a minus 420 favorite in a more striking-oriented fight versus Angela Hill, I just don't agree with that at all. So I'm going to go with Angela Hill here and say she's able to pull this upset and become I think it would be her first win on a pay-per-view in her career. So I'm going to say Angela Hill is able to do that. And up next here we have a rematch, and the first fight was sick. It was a badass fight, so I think we're in for another awesome matchup between these two guys, and the line is pretty accurate. I mean, the first time these two fought, split decision win for Chepe Mariscal. It was really close. I honestly thought Pat Sabatini maybe won that fight, but it was one of those fights where Sabatini had control. Mariscal maybe landed a few more strikes and was just, what did you prefer type of fight for the judges. But now they've both been in the UFC for a while. Sabatini a lot longer, but with Sabatini, he's had, layoffs and things like that, whereas Mariscal is on a good run right now. So even though you could say Sabatini has a little bit more experience in the UFC, both of them, have been doing really well recently, and I feel like that kind of evens out. But yeah, man, I think this fight's really just going to be a grapple fest. On the feet, Mariscal is better. I mean, obviously, Sabatini maybe moves a little bit better. He's lighter on his feet. He'll switch stances, but Mariscal is going to pressure him. He's going to walk him down. The leg kicks are going to be there. But the thing is, Chepe, he wants to grab you, clinch you, dirty box, and do that type of thing. And Sabatini is going to be relentlessly shooting takedowns the whole time. So I think it's going to be another grappling match between these two for the most part. In the first fight, Sabatini did get a few traditional takedowns, but he was really getting a lot of top control time by pulling guard and then sweeping Mariscal, getting on top and then controlling that way. And not necessarily top control time, but getting on top and kind of getting to the top position. Because the thing is, Mariscal was able to constantly scramble and keep getting back up to his feet. And that's one thing that Chepe is just incredible at, is he's so good at getting back up when he's taken down. He's a smaller guy, can kind of be squirmy and worm his way back up. And his cardio is really good, so he doesn't get tired. Sabatini as well, man. I mean, if you go back, you watch that first fight, Sabatini probably shot like 20 takedowns. He was pulling guard and getting on top that way too. And just constant pressure from Sabatini. But he wasn't throwing a lot of offense, and then he was never able to really get into a dominant position on Chepe and hold him down. So Chepe scrambling, getting back up to his feet constantly, getting on top himself a few times, landing some short strikes, landing some big leg kicks, kind of won him the decision. And at this point, both these guys have a little bit more experience, but I feel like they're very similar still in terms of how they fight. And I just think that at this point, if you're just watching a lot of these fights recently, it seems like top control time takedowns are not really being scored as much. So Mariscal doesn't have to land that much to counteract the takedowns and potential control time from Sabatini. So I just think Mariscal is going to do more damage, even if Sabatini's able to make it his fight and more of a grappling battle. I don't think he's going to be able to hold Mariscal down, and I don't think he's going to be able to get Mariscal tired. So it's going to be a constant scramble where I think Mariscal is going to land more short shots, small shots even. I think his leg kicks could potentially be a factor if he does keep the range. And then just durability-wise, Sabatini's chin's a little suspect. So even though I don't think Chepe is like a big power hitter, he has the more knockout upside as well. So I'm leaning towards Chepe Mariscal. He is a slight underdog here, so I don't think that's the worst play in the world, but the first fight was so competitive. I mean, I think you're kind of flipping a coin. And I'm going to go with Chepe here, but I think that the line is fairly accurate, honestly. And up next here, I'm really not a big fan of this fight, but we got Kyle Daukaus and GM3 Gerald Meerschaert here. Kind of an interesting one, two crafty grapplers, but it's probably going to be more of a stand-up fight here. I think that GM3 is going to try to play the same strategy that he had versus RDR. And if you watch that fight, he had a lot of success, but he got tired and then he got finished, obviously. But Kyle Daukaus, he got that nice knockout in his comeback versus Michel Pereira, but Michel, his head wasn't in it anymore. I mean, Bisping was talking about how he's lifted weights heavy the day of the fight. So I don't know how much you can really rate that victory for Daukaus, but I mean, he did catch him and put him to sleep. So the power is there, I guess you could say, even though he hasn't really shown it in a lot of fights. And the stand-up, I mean, both these guys are kind of awkward southpaw strikers. I think GM3 probably hits a little harder, but Daukaus is a little faster, sharper, maybe has a little bit more technical weapons and different variations of combinations and stuff, but I'm not really impressed with either guy's striking. I think Daukaus probably has better knees in the clinch. That's one area where he's pretty good. And wrestling-wise, I guess Daukaus is slightly better there. I don't know if he's going to want to grapple with GM3. I do think he'll probably be safe on top, but it's just a weird fight, man, where maybe GM3 could do his thing here, but he just hasn't really looked good lately at all. So it's a tough one. I mean, I don't think that GM3 is like a super live guy to win the fight, but the odds are just too wide. So I don't think that there's any value on Daukaus really, but he's younger, should be faster on the feet, and I think he'll probably be able to clinch up GM3, put him on the fence, knee him a little bit, maybe get a takedown, some late control time in rounds, and edge the fight. I don't know if he's going to get the knockout like he did or anything. I mean, only one knockout win in his career, so it's probably going to be a decision win, maybe a submission if he gets GM3 tired, but I'll say Daukaus via decision. And we got another rematch in this next fight with the winner of the first fight being a pretty significant underdog, more than 2-1, with Tracy Cortez taking on Aaron Blanchfield. They fought in Invicta a long time ago, and Blanchfield was like 21, 22 years old, so now 26, Tracy 31. They're more, established in the game now at this point. And the first fight, it really could have went either way because Cortez, the first round, she got a takedown, and I think this showed the greenness and kind of lack of experience from Erin Blanchfield the first fight, because she went for an armbar and she had a good bite on the arm, but she was kind of just sitting there trying to find the perfect time to extend the arm for almost the entire round, and you had her halfway to finish an armbar. Tracy was just kind of like putting her knee on Erin Blanchfield's chin and making it dirty, throwing some short punches, but it really wasn't landing anything, and Blanchfield was threatening with the more dangerous attack for the most of the round, but she was getting held down, and the judges gave that round to Cortez. Then Cortez was able to get another takedown and control in the second and win that round. But the third round, Blanchfield clearly won that round. She got the takedown, and she showed a lot more dominance on top than Cortez did with her top control. But now that they both had a lot more fights, I think that Blanchfield has closed the gap in the striking, and she's the more dangerous striker. But you look at Tracy, she is more athletic. She moves better. She has faster hands. So I think that early on, Tracy's going to look better on the feet. She's going to move around. She might land some big 1-2s and things like that. She might even get a takedown and some control time. And I think she'll win the early round, the first round of this fight. But I see her round 2 maybe going for a takedown. Blanchfield is able to defend, they get into the clinch, and I think Blanchfield will get on top somehow. And the momentum of the fight, I think, is going to change at some point. I could see Blanchfield getting the back of Cortez, the way Cortez kind of sells up for takedowns at certain points. And as the fight goes on and Cortez gets a little bit slower, I think that Blanchfield could maybe land some elbows and get in the clinch, dirty box, be a little bit more physical, and just kind of boss the fight a little bit. So, I'm leaning towards Erin Blanchfield winning a decision in this one and getting the revenge here. Even if Tracy gets on top, I think that in this fight, Blanchfield's going to be a little bit more cognizant to get back up to her feet. And she could do that. I mean, she can give the back and get up versus Cortez. Cortez has decent back takes, but I don't think she's going to be wanting to play jiu-jitsu like that versus Blanchfield. So I could see Blanchfield being able to get back up to her feet if she's taken down. And I just think she's been more active. She has been getting wins over better opponents, fighting more frequently. I think she's more dangerous overall on the feet and on the ground. It's just Tracy is more athletic, so she can move around. She can land some big punches, use her speed, mix in takedowns. And if she's able to stay safe for the most part on top and then maintain her gas tank and not end up on her back at all, then she can maybe win the decision herself. But I just feel like Blanchfield's going to be able to turn the tide of the fight after the early round and win a decision here. So give me Erin Blanchfield to get the victory. And up next, we got another sick fight with Roman Kopylov taking on Gregory Rodriguez. And this is an interesting one, man, because you got two guys that are going to throw down on the feet, because even though Gregory Rodriguez, he has that grappling background, I could see him mixing in some takedowns here, just the pressure, Kopylov winning a kick and everything like that. If it shows up and it's an easy takedown, he's going to take it. But we all know RoboCop. He likes to go out there. He likes to brawl, bang it out. He throws big, powerful hooks. He is a little stiff with his upper body movement and stuff like that. But his hands are fast. He'll go body. He'll go head. We saw his fight with Jack Hermanson, how he put him out in his last fight with one shot. So just very dangerous. But taking on a guy in Roman Kopylov who is coming off the loss to Paulo Costa, but he was a significant favorite to beat Paulo, and now he's a fairly big underdog here against Gregory Rodriguez. So the market's really flipped on Kopylov because he had the long win streak where he was looking really good with the stand-up, but his last fight he got pressured, he got bullied a bit, and took the L versus Costa, who Costa was not on a great run, so obviously that was why he is diminished here in terms of the odds, but stylistically, I do think that Rodriguez, you watch this fight, for instance, with Christian Leroy Duncan, that's the same game plan he's going to have here. He's going to have to pressure. He's going to have to walk down Kopylov, stay out of kick range, throw combinations with the hands, throw big power with the hooks. And I think mixing in takedowns would be smart, but I don't know if he's going to do it. I just think he's going to pressure Kopylov and try to break him. He has to come in great shape. He can't slow down because even though Kopylov also gets tired, if Gregory's at distance, kind of just standing there, that's where Kopylov could snipe him. And we've seen Gregory knocked out before. His chin is decent, but you can put him out if you land flush on him. And with Kopylov, he is the more durable guy. He's never been knocked out. He also has conditioning issues, but at range, we know how dangerous of a striker he is. He has really sharp hands, nice straight punches. You'll rip the body, nasty kicks. So Gregory just has to get on the inside and mitigate that speed and kicking advantage. He has to use his hooks, use his boxing. And I feel like Gregory is just the bigger dog in this fight. I think he's going to be able to walk down Kopylov, land the bigger punches, keep him on the back foot. And I don't think Kopylov's going to have the power in the hands to really knock out Gregory or back him off, I don't believe. And if Gregory's having a lot of issues on the feet, he can mix in the takedowns. I also think that he's going to be better conditioned, even though both guys have had some gas tank issues. I think that Gregory is the guy that is more proven in terms of his cardio. So I'm going to lean Rodriguez via decision. And in this next fight, Bo Nickal taking on Rodolfo Vieira. And this is a big one for Bo Nickal, man. I mean, this is make or break for him. He got fast-tracked to the top. He got to fight RDR in his last fight. And he didn't get fraud-checked because I don't think you could say that yet about Bo Nickal, but he took that lesson that he wasn't ready for that level yet, and we'll see what he's done since then. He's had a few months to get back in the lab and improve his striking, improve potentially his grappling, because he did get out grappled by RDR too, and we'll see how he comes back here. I mean, he did get embarrassed, he got knocked out, so mentally, we'll see how that affected him. But Rodolfo Vieira, interesting matchup, but I think good stylistic matchup for Bo Nickal, because we got another grappler, someone that doesn't have the wrestling to take Bo Nickal down, but his jiu-jitsu is top-notch, obviously. And then on the feet, I think this is a fight where there's not really any danger threat for Bo Nickal. I mean, his last fight, he got knocked out. You might think, okay, I'm going to be gun-shy in this one. But Vieira, I mean, the guy really only throws jabs. I mean, so the jab is going to be there for Vieira potentially. But he's stiff. He doesn't really ever open up with big combinations. I don't see him being able to take down Bo Nickal whatsoever. So I just don't think he's going to beat Bo Nickal with a jab. Bo Nickal is faster. He should be able to move around better. I think he's going to be able to feint takedowns, land punches over the top. He should be able to land kicks. I think that he could get takedowns as well, especially in the later rounds. I don't know if he would sit there and just take down Vieira right away. But Vieira, it's not like he's known to be a guy that gets submissions off his back. He's more of a top game player. And I don't see him catching a guillotine or something like that. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it's that likely. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a later finish or decision for Bo Nickal. I'm kind of leaning towards a decision because I don't believe that Vieira is a guy that's easy to finish. So I'll say Bo Nickal via decision, but I'm fairly confident that Bo Nickal is going to go in there and get this one done. I think he'll look improved. I don't know if he'll look good enough to the haters, but I think that he's going to be able to get the victory at least and be fairly dominant, maybe even win 30-27. So Bo Nickal for me, I think he'll be able to bounce back and get this victory. And kicking off the main card, we got a banger between Beneil Dariush and Benoit Saint-Denis. Beneil Dariush, once again, the underdog, which is the familiar position for him of late, taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. And Beneil, he came back earlier this year and got the win after a few losses in a row where he fought Renato Moicano, and it was a pretty dominant victory for him. He did get dropped in the first round, but he was winning that round up until that point. And then round 2, round 3, he was able to get the takedowns, control, and get a clear victory. So it was a solid bounce back fight for Beneil Dariush there. And Benoit Saint-Denis, he's gotten back-to-back victories as well. His last fight, great win where he got that major upset over Mauricio Hufi. Obviously, there was a big deficiency in Hufi's game in the grappling that's not there for Beneil Dariush, but Benoit Saint-Denis went out there, he handled the pressure, he was able to embrace that big moment, and he took down Mauricio Hufi over and over again and eventually got him out of there. So he's looking confident, he's feeling good right now. He got that victory previous to that over Kyle Prepolak where he got a finish in that one as well. So 2 finishes in a row for Benoit Saint-Denis. But now he's in that same position again like he was when he fought Dustin Poirier, when he fought Renato Moicano. He's fighting a established, grizzled veteran, a guy that's been in the top 10 of the world. And we'll see if he's able to get past the test in the third try. But Beneil Dariush, I think, is a fairly tough matchup for Benoit Saint-Denis and anyone that wants to grapple him. I mean, the guy's an elite grappler. You're not going to take him down and hold him down. I mean, his scrambles are incredible. And I think if anyone is going to be able to be dominant in the grappling in this fight, it's going to be Beneil Dariush. We've seen Benoit Saint-Denis get taken down with the well-timed takedown versus Moicano and then dominated on the ground. So I feel like if Beneil can get into a dominant position, he could at least hold the position and maybe do some major damage like Moicano did. On the feet, that's where it's a little dicey for both guys. I mean, they're both reckless. They put themselves on the line. I think that Saint-Denis is obviously more durable, but Beneil Dariush is not a guy you want to test your chin with. And southpaw versus southpaw, I mean, they're going to be kicking the shit out of each other as well. So it's just going to be a nasty fight. I think that at range, Beneil is maybe not as technical, but he's more dangerous. He's faster. He's more explosive. Hits harder. So Benoit's going to be trying to close that distance and use clinch work. I think dirty boxing, elbows. Just try to find that button on Beneil because he has been put out a number of times. But it's not like Benoit Saint-Denis is a knockout guy. 15 wins, 4 knockouts, 11 submission wins, but I don't see him going out there and submitting Beneil Dariush. He's never won a decision. He's not necessarily a guy that goes out there and tries to win decisions. I feel like Beneil can get this win here, man. I mean, we've seen Beneil go out there and beat the elite of the elite grapplers. He's only really lost in the last, 7-8 years to Sarukian and Charles Oliveira. I don't think that Benoit is as explosive and dangerous as those guys on their feet. So I think that Beneil could hold his own in the stand-up, land some big kicks, land some big punches, maybe wobble Benoit I think Beneil will maybe get rocked as well at one point. But I think that when they clinch up, when they do grapple, I think Beneil is going to show he's the superior grappler there. And he's not too old yet. I mean, the guy's still 36. So I think that he can pick this victory up. And at that point, we'll see probably him lose his next fight to a top contender. But I think that Beneil can get this win here over Benoit Saint Denis. So, going to go with the underdog, going to go with the upset, and I'm picking Beneil Dariush to win via decision. And we got a really interesting fight in this next one with Leon Edwards taking on Carlos Prates. Because, man, I mean, the fall from grace for Leon Edwards is real if he loses this fight, man. I mean, he was just on a, 10-year plus unbeaten streak where, granted, there was a lot of time off in that time span, but he won a ton of fights in a row. He became the champion. He dethroned the pound-for-pound number one fighter in the world. And, I mean, at one point, I mean, when he beat Colby Covington, he was, up there, top 5 pound-for-pound. But he lost to Bilal Muhammad, got pretty much dominated in that fight. He had a couple of big moments, but then Sean Brady just washed him. I mean, he easily just dog-walked him in his home country. So that was a pretty telling loss for Leon Edwards. I mean, it was a rough stylistic matchup, obviously, and this fight is the type of fight he's been begging for. I mean, he's been asking to get a striker again for years, and now he's getting it. I mean, the last guy that he fought that maybe was more willing to stand up with him was Nate. So we'll see if his wish is going to turn into a victory, but he's taking on a new breed guy, and they're still fairly similar in age. I mean, 34, 32, but Prates, I mean, been in the UFC not nearly as long, and he's kind of rised up the rankings really quickly. He had that fight with Ian Gary that he did lose in his one main event so far, but bounced back at the sick knockout victory over Jeff Neal in his last fight. And he's talking shit in this one. He's trying to get in Leon Edwards' head. And we'll see if he can go out there and get this marquee victory, kind of put the death nail on Leon Edwards' career, and then move into title contention. But if Leon Edwards ever wants to be relevant again in this division, this is a must-win for him. He can't lose this fight. If he goes out here and loses in a straight striking fight, I mean, how much is left outside of, fun fights for Leon after at that point? I don't think he's really going to be a true contender anymore. So we'll see what happens here. But, man, it's a hard one for me to read. I mean, I do think that Leon is probably the better overall striker. I mean, we saw in the Ian Gary fight the deficiencies with Prates' style. And we just see, I mean, in a lot of his fights, he is getting clipped up a little bit, and then he'll come back, get the win. Even versus Jeff Neal, I mean, he probably was losing that round until the last minute or so of the round when he turned it around. But something is telling me, I mean, I don't really have a big analytical breakdown for this fight. I feel like Leon's going to be moving around. He's going to be trying to laterally circle side to side, pull Prates into his kicks. I think a lot of body kicks and head kicks are going to be a part of Leon's game plan, trying to stay at kick range and out of the range of Prates' hands and combinations, because I think if Prates could land those straight punches on Leon and put the combinations together, he might be able to put him out, especially if he's effective from southpaw in this fight. We've seen Leon, he's never been knocked out before, but he's gotten rocked by not big power hitters like Nate Diaz, even Brian Barberina back in the day. He got dropped by another guy that I can't remember currently. Maybe it was Peter Sabata or something like that, but he's had fights where southpaws have hurt him a little bit. And obviously, Prates could switch seamlessly. He's someone that he looks for his reads, and then once he finds them, he'll put you on the back foot. He'll line you up with a big knee to the body, a big straight punches, those spins. I mean, the guy just has a ton of tools in the toolbox in terms of his kicking and punching arsenal, and then his length is incredible. I mean, the guy is one of the longest guys in the weight division. So Leon, I think, is going to try to, like you said, be at kick range, stay out of the chaos with Process, and then maybe mix in some takedowns. We've seen in a lot of his wins against more strikers back in the day, he got his own takedowns in those fights. So I think that's the game plan for Leon, and if he could execute it, he's probably going to win via decision. But I just think he's going to get chinned at some point. I think Process is going to put that pressure on him. He's going to eventually land a big shot. He's going to explode, and he's going to finish. So give me Carlos Process round 2, round 3 knockout here. And fuck, man, this fight, badass fight right here. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. I'm super excited for this one, man. I mean, first off, shout out to Sean Brady for even taking this fight, man. I mean, number 2 in the world. He's taking on number 8 here. He should have got a title shot, in my opinion. I mean, going out there, ragdolling, finishing a former champion in their home country like he did. Fairly short notice fight as well. I mean, I don't know what more he needed to do, but the mentality with Sean Brady is he has to fight all these guys eventually, so why not just pick them all off now? And if he's as good as he thinks he is, then he's going to be able to beat all these guys. So I love his mentality, man. I feel like there's a lot of bitches now in welterweight. They kind of want to try to maneuver their way up the division, but Sean Brady is willing to take on anyone, and proving it once again here with this fight versus Michael Morales. So yeah, man, Michael Morales, huge step up in competition for him. He got some nice victories over some aging vets, but now he's taken on a big time prospect, or not even a prospect, a contender here with Sean Brady, someone that's one of the best in the world in their prime, and we'll see if his undefeated record is going to stay intact, or he's not going to be ready for this moment. But man, Sean Brady, the guy is a complete monster. He's a decent striker and he's improving there, but everyone knows Sean Brady's bread is buttered on the ground. On the feet, Brady is good when he can go forward. The threat of the level change makes it difficult to read, and he has a nasty left hook, right hand combination. His left hook is sharp, it's fast, it's really effective. And when he can move forward, work the feints, the hooks, the overhands over the top, he's really good at using the punches to get the takedowns. And if you can get Brady moving backwards, he still has decent footwork and counter-striking, but he doesn't really have that power off the back foot. And when you can extend the combinations, try to throw knees, uppercuts, that's where you could land on Brady. I've seen guys get within millimeters of landing flying knees on Sean Brady, like Michael Chiesa got really close. And I don't think Brady also has the greatest chin. He'll have some pretty big reactions when he gets hit. He can get busted up a little bit. He's the only person that's ever been finished by Bilal with strikes. And in previous fights, he's had some issues getting tired, like when he fought Michael Chiesa, but looks like he's patched that up. I mean, when he fought Leon Edwards, he finished him in the 4th round. He went all 5 at a really high pace versus Gilbert Burns. So he was able to boss both those fights. So if he has to face adversity, maybe the gas tank won't hold up the same, but his cardio has looked really good lately. And he has an insane strength. That's probably his best asset. If he can get a hold of you, he's going to drive you to the cage. He's going to keep you there until he can put you on your back. Really fast level changes. He can finish with takedowns on the legs. He has a lot of trips in the clinch. And on top, he's a lead blanket. He's good at attacking a guillotine or a back take to take advantage of how you try to stand up. He'll throw Kimuras, arm locks, and he's really good when he's in dominant position of just controlling there until you give him something that he could finish with, or the round ends and he banks that round and it goes into the next one. But that's why he has so many later round finishes. He has 6 finishes after round 1. In the UFC, his 2 third-round finishes. He has a 4th-round finish. He finished someone in round 4 of a regional title fight back in the day as well. So he slow cooks guys and then takes them out. In his one loss, he got tired and stopped by Belal Muhammad. But in fights where Brady can get top control time and implement his style, he's going to get you tired before he gets tired and snowball you. So you have to keep it standing, hurt him, make him face some adversity for him to slow down. But Michael Morales, rangy counter striker. He has elite physical gifts. He has a crazy frame, super long arms, explosive, fast twitch. He is a little bit low volume. He's kind of a plotter, but nice counter crosses. I think in this fight, these uppercuts are going to be a big part of the game plan. Throws a lot of leg kicks. And he really just waits at range a lot of the fight to counter, but good at landing strikes to off-balance guys at the end, or getting reads and then landing hammer shots. And he can lean back and land off the back foot with power, which a lot of the time, leaning back like that isn't good, but with his reach and height, he's able to do it. And he also slides in and out of range well with the feet, but I do think he needs to get better at curling and, moving laterally a little bit more. Sometimes he can get a little obvious moving backwards and forwards in straight lines, and I think Brady could get the read on that potentially. But Morales, I think, needs to throw more numbers in this fight and combinations if he wants to find the shot on Brady. He can't really rely on single shots to get the knockout here, but he definitely has the ability to land a knee, land a big shot, and hurt Brady, put him out, and get the victory. But he has a wrestling background. We haven't really seen him on his back or his grappling much. Neil Magny was able to get into a dominant position early where he controlled the back from standing for like a couple minutes. And I think if Brady gets that position, I think he's going to get the back, get the hooks in. And Morales showed he has crazy ability there. I mean, where he hit Magny with a short spinning elbow off the break, and it didn't even look like a hard shot, but it hurt and rocked Magny, and it did land to the back of the head, so it could have just been a weird shot, but he finished him shortly after that. His last fight, he did get taken out briefly, but he got right back up, and he's good at staying calm, so when he returned to his feet, he was fresh and just kind of unloaded, got Gilbert Burns out of there. But I do think his conditioning is a little suspect. He gets tired. So overall, his grappling is not that tested. He has that, I guess, Ecuadorian grappling background. But, I mean, how much is that viable, man? I mean, how legit is that? I don't know. It's hard to say. And we don't really know about his grappling. He is a black belt, I guess. But I think that Brady is going to be levels above him if he can get on top. I mean, Morales is a big guy. He's probably not too used to fighting off bottom. So if Brady can get him there and be stronger than him, I think that could be shocking to a young guy like Michael Morales. But I think Sean Brady's going to dominate this fight. I see him winning via 2nd or 3rd round submission. Morales is a beast. He's super dangerous, but I think he'll let Brady come forward, get him on the fence early. That's going to lead to a back take, a lot of control time, which I think will either make Morales over-aggressive and get taken down easier, tire him out as well, or it goes the other way. He gets defensive. It doesn't do enough, but Brady should have a huge edge if he can actually get on top. And if Brady can get him down, control him early, I think that opens his left hook, right hand up, leads to him probably finding a finish when Morales slows down some. So I'm going to say Brady wins via submission in round 3. Sean Brady gets the job done, takes out another high-level opponent, and moves that much closer to potentially vying for the UFC title. And co-main event time, we got the first of 2 fighters that are vying to become double champs, with Zhang Weili taking on Valentina Shevchenko. And this is a huge win, man. I mean, we got the number 1 pound-for-pound female fighter against a number 2 pound-for-pound female fighter, with Valentina Shevchenko holding the title, holding the crown at number 1 pound-for-pound, having, I believe, the most title victories for a female in UFC history. And now she's taken on just an absolute tank, someone that's been dominating recently at 115 pounds, moving up, trying to secure potential GOAT status here. And for Valentina Shevchenko, her last fight, people forget she was the underdog in that fight against Manon Fior. And there was a lot of trash talk going into that one. They bet each other that the loser had to retire and everything like that. So there were some stakes going into that fight in terms of Valentina. I think if she lost, there would have been questions about where she was in her career potentially, because it would have been only one win in her last 4 fights at that point. But now with the victory, she's, back on top of the world and the favorite here in this super fight against Weili Zhang. So that just kind of shows that Valentina is still very much a top-level fighter at 37, but Weili's 36. I think that's something that people don't really take into account. Both these ladies are a little older, but they haven't really slowed down at all, really. And you look at stylistically, I think early on Valentina is going to be more successful because she has a decent reach advantage, 4 inches. She's a little bit sharper with her striking and her distance control, I believe. And even though Weili is really good as well, blitzing in, blitzing out, controlling the range, we saw like when she fought Yan Xiaonan, early on she was struggling a little bit with Xiaonan's ability to kind of just stand at the edge of range like Shevchenko does and slide in, slide out, counter you as you try to come in. So I think that Valentina is going to do well controlling the distance early, and she's going to be able to potentially land that lead right hook often on Weili and kind of bust her up a little bit. But I think that Weili, when she turns it up and kind of makes it ugly, she's going to be able to close the distance and back Shevchenko up. And I think that's going to be the tail of the fight, because I feel like for Weili to win this fight, she has to be dominant in the wrestling and the grappling departments. If she's able to put Valentina on the fence, put her on her back, she could potentially even get the rear naked choke in this fight, I believe, or just dominate from the top position. On the feet, it's going to be a lot tougher. I think that if she can get some takedowns, that the striking will open up for her and she'll be able to use her blitzes and her 1-2s and her ability to close the distance with speed and combinations to land. But I think that if she can't establish a takedown, it's going to be really hard for her to close that distance without getting clipped. And I think Valentina is going to be able to just pot shot all night and win kind of a boring decision. So it's going to be pivotal for Weili to get a takedown in the first round or the second round and prove dominance from the top position. If she can do that, I think at that point she'll be able to potentially even get a submission from the takedown attempt or start to take over the fight. And at some point, I think that even though they've had the same, or they're similar ages, Shevchenko has shown more kind of cracks in the armor recently where she's, you could say, not really showing her age, but I guess you could kind of argue that a little bit. And I just feel like I'm leaning towards Zhang in this one. I think if it's a close decision, her aggression can maybe edge the fight for her. And I honestly think she can get a takedowns in this one and be more dominant on top. It's just the fact that Valentina has fought a lot bigger girls and done well in the grappling department, where maybe she'll be able to outstrength Zhang a little bit. But ultimately, I think that Zhang is going to be able to hold her own there, get on top. And I'm going to say Weili actually gets a submission in this fight. So I'm leaning towards Weili Zhang, and I think she'll be able to actually earn the finish. So give me Weili Zhang to get the job done in this one. And up next here, we got the fight of all fights, man. Just absolutely epic matchup between Jack Della Maddalena, the newly crowned champion in his first title defense, taking on the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter, arguably number 1, moving up to 170 pounds to try to become a 2-division champion, something that Khabib Nurmagomedov was never able to do, never attempted. So I think this would put Islam above Khabib in the GOAT rankings and really be the icing on top of Islam's career. I don't think it would be his last fight, but this would probably be the best win by far that he's ever had. Maybe you could argue Charles Oliveira when he was on that long winning streak, but I think that Jack Della, 18 wins in a row, coming off the dominant victory over Bilal Muhammad like he did have, moving up 15 pounds, I think this would be the best win of Islam's career. And it's a major step up from who Islam's been fighting recently. And you could say, that's kind of weird because he's been the champion, but look at his last 2 fights. I mean, since 2023, the Volkanovski fight was over 2 years ago, and Dustin Poirier, older Poirier that is not really like the greatest victory in the world there. And then Renato Moicano on, 24 hours notice, took him out really quickly. I don't think it's as easy a fight as those two with Jack Della Maddalena. And you got an in-prime guy. When's the last time? It's been years since Islam's fought someone that's younger than him and someone that is not more weathered than him in terms of MMA. So that's another interesting factor in this fight. I feel like Jack Della is confident. He's ready to go. He's the bigger guy. His team has done this twice already. They've already had Alex Volkanovski with Craig Jones, and Alex is actually in the training camp with Jack as well. So those two guys have already had a couple cracks and bites at the apple versus Islam. So you know that they're kind of tweaking things and they're going to try to fine-tune it optimally for Jack Della to have the best chance to win here. So I think that this line is kind of crazy. I feel like he's getting disrespected. They're kind of throwing him in here as a lamb to slaughter to try to make Islam a double champion. They're not really giving him that respect that he deserves, I don't feel like. And, I think this should be closer to a pick'em fight than where it is right now. You look at these guys from a matchup perspective, Jack Della is going to be the taller, longer guy, and I feel he's a significantly better striker. Islam has good striking. He throws nice combinations. Obviously, he has that head kick, but the thing is with the head kick, Alex Volkanovski is 5'6". I don't see him pulling that out against a 6'1" guy in Jack Della. I think that would be a lot harder to pull off there. And you're looking at the Dustin Poirier fight, for instance. Islam was able to kind of control the pace with the wrestling, obviously, and Poirier wasn't getting off too much with combinations. But whenever they extended combinations and were able to throw more numbers, Dustin was getting the better of those exchanges for the most part, or at least hanging in there and holding his own. And I thought he looked extremely slow, whereas Jack Della is going to be fast, crisp. He's going to be throwing the jab. He's going to be moving his head. He's going to be switching stances. I think he's a lot harder to take down than Dustin, and he can get up and scramble. And we saw Dustin hit a switch on Islam. He was able to survive getting mounted, getting his back taken, dominant positions. So I don't necessarily see Islam submitting Jack Della Maddalena or being able to just dominate him on the ground. If he is able to dominate him and submit him early, then I think that's his path to victory. I feel like Islam if he wins, is going to go out here and get a first or second round submission, look like Superman, and just blow Jack Della Maddalena out of the water. Show levels on the ground and just bulldoze through him. But I think if Jack Della can show that craftiness that he showed in other fights, his ability to scramble, use Granby rolls, use different guards to get back up, I could see him getting Islam tired. I mean, it's extra 15 pounds. I think the body shots are going to be a huge factor for Della. He needs to throw a lot of body shots. I think that he needs to try to establish weapons up the middle early, like knees, uppercuts, get Islam thinking about the level changes, and keep his back off the fence. And if he does push Islam backwards, I think it's going to be hard for Islam to take him down consistently. And I think it'll be really hard for him to take him down in the center of the cage. The thing is, if he does take down Jack Della Maddalena, I feel like Jack can get back up. And honestly, I think that he's going to be the fresher guy in the later rounds. I mean, we've seen Islam slow down a little bit in certain fights, especially the Volkanovski fight. I mean, I think that's the most obvious one that you could point to. But it's a different beast, man, when if you get tired versus a guy that's 5'6" that can fight at 145, then you getting tired against Jack Della. You're probably going to get finished if you get tired against a bigger, more powerful guy. And I just think Jack Della is going to announce himself as a potential superstar in the UFC here. And I'm going to say he finishes Islam 3rd, 4th, 5th round knockout. Jack Della Maddalena, I think he's going to be able to... He might get taken down and controlled in the first round, but I think after that he's going to be able to create scrambles, get back up once he's taken down. He's going to go to the body. He's going to put the pressure on Islam. He's going to put numbers together when Islam's moving backwards, start to land on him. He's going to throw knees, uppercuts, and I feel like you're going to see Islam slow down from the body shots, from the pressure, from Jack Della being able to scramble and defend takedowns, and from Islam being just 15 pounds heavier. And even though he might not be, I don't know how much heavier he's going to be than when he fights at 155 in the cage, but I do think that plays a factor. He's not going to be able to be 20 pounds heavier than his opponent in this one, and I could see him slowing down if he has a little extra weight and muscle on him, even more than he potentially already did at 155. So I just think Jack Della is being underrated here, and I'm going to say he goes out there and knocks out Islam in the 3rd round. So give me Jack Della Maddalena. I picked him against Bilal Muhammad as a pretty significant underdog. Came through, and I'm going to do it again here versus Islam Makhachev. So give me Jack Della Maddalena to retain the belt and still deny Islam for becoming a 2-division champion and establish himself as one of the best fighters in the UFC. There you have it, guys. It's a full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 322. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Hit the like button. Put a comment down below if you want access to full bet, all my bets for this fight card and for all other fight cards that are going on this weekend, which there's quite a few with LFA, Cage Warriors, KSW, UAE Warriors. So I'm going to see if I can get any bets in on those cards. And as far as my most confident pick of the week for this card, I guess I would say Susurkaev. I mean, minus 1,000 favorite. There's not much you could do with that. I think Nickal, he's priced at a good price to play at minus 225. So I think that he's decent for most confident pick at that number. So I'll say Nickal and Susurkaev, my 2 most confident picks. For the play of the week this week, I'm going to say do a play with Jack Della Maddalena. I think he'll be my play of the week this week. I think he's going to get the job done. Also, Sean Brady via submission. So, yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Going to be back soon doing another breakdown and prediction video. So, hit the like button, put a comment down below. If you want to see more, subscribe and support the channel. So, thanks for watching, guys, and peace out.